Here's how you shade with pencil. This is a technique to just gradually go from a gradation from dark to light. You always want to start out at the darkest place. And so you have this line here. Let's say you've created a line and now you want to do a gradation. Now this is a 6B pencil. The softer pencils do the smoothest gradation, but when you're first starting out, you're gonna need to use your different pencils to do the different values. And you wanna do these little movements, 16th inch to 8th inch, back and forth like your hand is trembling. And you go right up against that line and you do these little repeating marks, okay? And as you come out from it, you're slowly lifting your pencil and you're getting lighter and lighter. So your pressure is getting lighter and you're going back and forth. You're overlapping these pencil marks. You're holding your pencil to the side. So you don't want to be vertical here with your pencil, or it's just going to be this little point and it's going to leave lines. So you want to have a sharp pencil and you're using that side of that pencil, okay? And you're laying it. So you're holding your pencil farther back and you're doing these little movements. And you know, when you first start out, it's going to kind of be awkward. You don't want to do these long strokes back and forth because then you leave white areas. And then when you go back to try to fill it in, it's going to be blotchy. So you're getting lighter and lighter with your pressure. And you're not going to get the best gradation with just one layer. You have to do multiple layers. And so it's better to start out light and go darker than it is to have it be too dark and then have to erase. So see how I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And like this is my first pass. So I'm barely touching the pencil by the time I get over here. So I'm really breaking up that edge and barely touching the pencil to where that edge disappears. Okay, now this is just the first layer. I see this stripe here. I want to break that stripe up. So I'm going to go right up against that and break up that stripe. See how all of a sudden that stripe disappears because I'm breaking up that edge. And you want to just keep going and building layers using your pencil. And if you want to darken, you always start back up at the top in the darkest part and move down. You never want to go backwards because then your values are going to be messed up. You're always starting out this darkest area and moving down from there in one direction and lifting your pencil and getting lighter and lighter. And you keep doing this until your values are correct. You use that value chart. Now, if you're first starting out, you might need to switch pencils. I have been doing this long enough to where I can get a pretty light value with a 6B. But if you are starting out, you might want to switch pencils halfway in between. And so you use an HB pencil around here, and then you use a 2H pencil around here. So sometimes if I want to smooth things out, I will, you know, use an HB pencil and darken things. And so, you know, the B part of a pencil is the black, and that's the softness. So when you have an HB, this is a hard black, and that's a number 2 pencil, the HB. And this is a middle of the road pencil, and you're smoothing out your gradations this way. You're using the side of the pencil again, and you're going back and forth and just smoothing out. You're still going from dark to light. You're not going backwards. If I was going this way, my values would be messed up. So only go in one direction, and just get this technique down where you're just moving back and forth 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and that's going to get you your smoothest gradation. So when I'm at this point, I can switch to a 2H to get the lighter values if I want. I wouldn't go any harder on my gradations than 2H. The reason being is this is a very hard pencil lead. The harder the pencil lead, so if you're at a 5H, it's just going to indent your paper, and it's going to be really hard to have a smooth gradation with a really hard pencil. See how this is really light here? So you want to just keep practicing. It's gonna take some work, and it's gonna take some practice to get things smooth. But like I said, you're never going to just do a smooth gradation with just one layer. If you want really smooth gradation, you're building layers slowly, okay? You know, and smoothing out places. But you want to go dark to light in one direction. I don't want to go this way, okay? And then by this time, you are literally just breaking up an edge and barely touching the pencil. So it's like dissipating. Now, this is really helpful for when you're doing soft edge shadows, because you know, you're not going to have a hard edge, and you need to accomplish a really soft edge. And this is how you do it. You just, you know, keep doing these lines, but then you're barely touching the pencil to break up that edge, okay? You don't want a line going across because that's a sharp edge. So I hope that's helpful. And just keep practicing. You're going to get it. You know, at first it's really awkward, but you're going to get it.